All right, so get this. Remember pagers, like those things from way back when.
Right.
Well, it turns out they're not just vintage tech relics collecting dust in someone's attic.
Oh.
Yeah, they were recently used in Lebanon.
Okay.
And not for like sending love notes or anything like that. We're
Wow.
talking about a series of explosions, multiple casualties, and the trail leads to Hezbollah.
Wow.
Yeah. Hezbollah, pagers, explosions. Talk about a blast from the past, literally. But here's where it gets really interesting. No one seems to know where these specific pagers came from.
A real head scratcher.
Right. It's like a mystery wrapped in an enigma and then like deep fried in confusion.
I am intrigued.
Yeah.
So where do we even begin to untangle this?
Well, investigators start digging through the rubble, literally, and they find fragments. And these fragments are stamped with the name Gold Apollo.
Gold Apollo. Rings a bell.
Right. They're a Taiwanese company.
Taiwanese, okay.
Yeah. So naturally, everyone's looking at them, right? Like, hey, did you guys have anything to do with this?
Makes sense. So what did Gold Apollo say?
Well, Gold Apollo says, and I'm paraphrasing here, but basically, nope, not us. We license our trademark, sure, but we don't actually make the devices themselves.
So they're passing the buck, so to speak.
Exactly. And you can understand why a company would scramble to distance themselves in a situation like this. I mean, think about it. The potential fallout, legal battles, damage to their reputation. It could be massive.
Absolutely. Imagine being known as the company that supplied even indirectly devices used in a conflict. That's a PR nightmare.
Total PR nightmare. Nobody wants that. So, okay, we know Gold Apollo licensed out their trademark. So the question is to who?
Yeah, who are we dealing with here?
Enter BAC Consulting.
BAC Consulting.
A Hungarian company.
Hungarian.
Okay.
So we're going from Taiwan to Hungary now.
We are. But get this, and this is where it gets even more complicated. BAC denies any involvement too.
What? No way.
Yeah, and hold on to your hats because it gets even better.
Oh, boy.
The Hungarian government then steps in and says that BAC doesn't even have a manufacturing base in Hungary.
So we've got denials upon denials and a company that may or may not exist in any real sense.
It's like everyone's playing a global game of hot potato, but with, much, much higher stakes.
It's a mess. This is where things get really interesting. See, there's speculation that BAC Consulting might be what's known as a shell company.
A shell company?
Yeah, basically a business that exists only on paper. They're often used to obscure the real players involved in certain transactions.
So it's like a front?
Exactly. And that makes it incredibly difficult to trace where, the money, or in this case, the pagers actually originated. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack that's also on fire.
Okay, I thought we were already in deep, but now we're in, the Mariana Trench of deep.
Oh, we're just getting started.
Oh, no.
Because it gets wilder.
No way.
There was a New York Times report citing Israeli intelligence that suggests this shell company, BAC Consulting, might have been a front for, wait for it, Israel.
Wow. Okay, talk about adding fuel to the fire, especially with the whole Israel-Hezbollah conflict.
Right. It's a tangled web, no doubt.
Right.
But this case, along with other incidents like we saw Exploding Walkie-Talkies a while back, it all highlights a much bigger issue.
Which is?
The often murky and incredibly complex world of global supply chains.
Right. It's like trying to track down a rogue batch of cookies when the ingredients came from 6 different countries. Where do you even start?
Exactly. The logistical nightmare. Think about something like a smartphone, right? It's assembled in one country, but the screen's from another, the processor from somewhere else, and the software.
Let me guess, a whole other place.
You got it. So now imagine trying to pinpoint a single faulty component in that tangled web. And that's the challenge we're facing.
So basically what you're saying is we're left with a bunch of unanswered questions.
A whole bunch, yeah.
Like, who actually made these pagers? What role did shell companies and trademark licensing play? And the big one, what does this all mean for holding people accountable in a globalized world where it's easier to hide than it is to find the truth?
It's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is. It makes you wonder, in an increasingly interconnected world, how can we, as consumers, even begin to untangle these complex supply chains and demand greater transparency and more ethical practices?
Absolutely.
Something to think about.
It really is.